the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then your talking don't matter. Ching, ching, bling, bling, patent pockets. We take the dollar, dollar, can a damn soul stop it?
Hello everybody and welcome back to another edition of Outside the Ropes. I am your host of Outside the Ropes as always, Mathew Moore. Hope you are all doing really well out there, guys. A big thank you for tuning in to another edition of the podcast. Guys, the world of wrestling has been rocked over the last sort of few days since WWE Fastlane. We were last on the air last Sunday, myself and Tony, talking about the upcoming pay-per-view last Sunday night. We're going to go through the results of the pay-per-view shortly. But the news on the internet wrestling community right now is the big news coming out of Monday Night Raw this past Monday. The return, as you heard at the start of this podcast, the theme tune of the one and only Shane McMahon has returned to WWE television and will be involved in a major match at WrestleMania 32 in the next 5 weeks or so. Big news. It's been announced that he will compete in a Hell in the Cell match. That's right, Shane O'Mac in a Hell in the Cell match at WrestleMania against the one and only The Undertaker. What a big announcement coming out of WWE this past Monday night on Raw. We're going to talk more about that shortly, as we're going to talk about last Sunday's Fastlane, talk about Monday Night Raw, of course, and more stories coming out of WWE and across the wrestling world in the last sort of few days since we last spoke to you last Sunday. Before we go on any further on this podcast, I just want to give a big shout out to our friends and partners of this show who helps keep this show going, and that's Wrestling's Past. For all your history of professional wrestling, all your history of wrestling needs, Wrestling's Past is your occasion. If you're new to wrestling or old to wrestling, and no matter what your needs of wrestling is, Wrestling's Past is your occasion. Don't forget to check out their website, wrestlingspast.blogspot.co.uk, and on Twitter at Wrestling's Past for all your history of wrestling needs. Last Sunday's Fastlane pay-per-view, we're going to go through it quickly. First of all, guys, I want to apologise for the podcast being put out a little bit later than normal. We had some technical errors the last couple of hours or so with our audio equipment, but we're fixed, as you can hear. We're back up and going. We do apologise for the slight delay on the podcast, but we are here and we're ready to go. Also, guys, and we did announce on last week's podcast, the last 48 hours from now, our website will be up and going. OutsideTheRopesRadio.com will be up and going. It's 99% built. We were told today that it's almost ready. It should be ready in the next 48 hours or so, guys. So keep looking. OutsideTheRopesRadio.com for our new looking website. Happy days. Let's get into Fastlane from last Sunday. What can we say, really? Roman Reigns is going to the main event of WrestleMania. Are we happy about that? A lot of fans are not happy. I'm personally not happy. I prefer to see Dean Ambrose going to the main event of WrestleMania. But it's Roman Reigns who is going to be facing Triple H in the main event of WrestleMania 32. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about what happened on Raw shortly. A lot of people now are focusing on what's happened, which was announced on Raw, compared to the main event. But Raw, it's Fastlane main event. Half decent pay-per-view. Brock Lesnar didn't do very much in the event himself. He was put through two tables by Reigns and Ambrose. But Roman Reigns has progressed into the main event of WrestleMania, where he will fight Triple H for the WWE World Heavyweight title. Now, a lot of you guys have been sending your feedback. We put out polls on Twitter during the pay-per-view asking who would win. A lot of you did vote. Actually, 86% of you voted for Ambrose. A lot of you didn't want to see Reigns go to WrestleMania. A lot of you fans tweeted us and emailed us and stuff and told us that you didn't like the fact that he was winning. But unfortunately, it is the way it happens, guys. It's going to happen. But there you go. Roman Reigns is going to the main event of WrestleMania. Other matches on the card from Fastlane. Kalisto retained his title on the pre-show, first of all against Alberto Del Rio, in a pretty decent 2 out of 3 falls match. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch defeated Tamina Snuka and Naomi, which was no surprise. Kevin Owens retained his Intercontinental title against Dolph Ziggler, which was a pretty decent match. We all knew that he wasn't going to win. Ziggler, of course. Ryback, The Big Show, and Kane defeated the Wyatt family, which wasn't even a great match, but we'll talk a bit more about Ryback shortly because there was a rematch of it on Raw. The women's title match, or Divas title match, whatever you want to call it, We all knew that the stories have come out that Brie Bella is retiring in the summer. But now that she was challenging for the Divas title, would she get one last run before she decided to go away and make babies with Daniel Bryan? But obviously not. Charlotte has retained her title. We're on Charlotte shortly. AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho, the rubber match in their feud. Unbelievable match, guys, back and forward. It was such a great match. AJ Styles come out on top, which we all thought was going to happen. It was a great match, and for me personally, I couldn't complain. Absolute great match back and forward. Edge and Christian come out, which I do apologise again, but didn't actually mention on Sunday's pre-show, but the Edge and Christian, the Cutting Edge Peep Show, which started off actually quite okay, but then ended quite badly. I don't know what was going on, but we had the New Day feuding with the League of Nations, which looks like it's going to be heading into a match of WrestleMania because of all the wee skits that have been going on since Fastlane, especially on YouTube. But there you go. But Edge and Christian, some good entertaining stuff. We're going to talk about their show very shortly as well because they debuted their show on Sunday night and another episode on Monday. A match that happened on this card, which I looked at Tony on Sunday night and went, what the hell is that? What is the point in this match? R-Truth versus Curtis Axel. There was no point in it. It was on for like 2 minutes. The match was over. It was like a time killer. It was crap. It was rubbish. It was pointless. Curtis Axel won. No point. And again, Roman Reigns obviously won the main event by defeating Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar to go on to the main event. Let's move away onto Monday Night Raw. Guys, what can we say about Monday Night Raw? Fastlane, a lot of you guys said the pay-per-view wasn't a great show. We put out a poll on our Twitter account and our Facebook account asking you guys, what did you think of the pay-per-view? You thought it wasn't that great. But didn't they deliver on Raw? Absolutely. Where can we start? We had the Vincent J. McMahon Excellence Award, whatever you want to call it. It was awarded to Stephanie McMahon. Really? I thought personally it was going to be Triple H because of all his accomplishments with the likes of NXT and the behind the scenes stuff and all the new stars that he's been signing for the company and the different things that he's been doing for the company. But obviously it was Stephanie. Out comes Stephanie, ready to do her little speech, and the long-awaited return after being away from WWE since January 2010, where he officially left the company. He was last on TV in 2009, but he officially left the company altogether in 2010. The return of the one and only, one of the most popular faces on WWE television over the years, the one and only Shane McMahon returned to WWE television to surprise his sister and Vince McMahon on Raw. The reaction was off the chain. The crowd were so into it, it was unreal. I'll tell you a true story. I was actually sitting here, I was actually at home watching the show on Monday night with my girlfriend. We were sitting watching Raw, and when the music hit, I actually jumped so much. It was like 5 past 10 past 1 in the morning. I jumped off my sofa so hard I almost broke my sofa. I was that excited to see Shane. I have not reacted to anybody like that since the night Brock Lesnar came back, which was a good few years ago. But Shane McMahon, everybody wanted to see Shane back on TV. Everybody's wanted to see Shane McMahon as the general manager of Monday Night Raw, even the time where they had the whole general manager segments going on. But Shane McMahon came out to announce that he was still involved with the company in some type of way, and they announced that he wants control of Monday Night Raw. Obviously, Vince McMahon said he would give it to him under one condition, where he had a match at WrestleMania against the one and only Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell. This has just exploded the internet wrestling community over the last few days. People are now talking they're more interested in this match compared to any other match on the card. It's been coming out in stories in the last few days that Ticketmaster are now announcing events for after WrestleMania where it's WWE versus Raw. People are also saying this could be maybe even started an invasion from NXT. There's also things saying that there's now going to be maybe a special guest referee in the match. There's going to be a stipulation, possibly if The Undertaker loses, that he has to retire, where Shane will win the match at WrestleMania and take control of Raw. Then the other McMahons, like Stephanie and Triple H and Vince, will try and overtake back Raw off Shane. We also hear that Shane is going to be around after WrestleMania, which is great to see. There's going to be so many different scenarios that the WWE could work with. They could do so many twists and turns with this leading into WrestleMania. Me personally, I would love to see, and no disrespect to The Undertaker, obviously the streak is now gone. I would love to see Shane McMahon win it, possibly then an NXT invasion. This is what I would love to see, of course, as a fan. Maybe with Triple H coming in, bringing his NXT guys up to invade Shane McMahon's Monday Night Raw. There's so many possibilities you could do there. You could bring in new faces from NXT, freshen things up a bit, sort of make it a bit more different. Obviously, with all the big stars being injured, the likes of Rollins and Cena and the other guys there as well. There's so many things that you could do with them. But it's going to be interesting over the next few weeks exactly what they're going to do with the Shane McMahon, Undertaker, Vince McMahon, Stephanie, Triple H, whatever is going to be involved storyline over the next few weeks, which I'm really looking forward to. Now, we're staying on the subject of Monday Night Raw. Obviously, we had a segment where Triple H was at the end, was battling with Roman Reigns at the end, where we saw blood on the at the end. Obviously, we shared a video on our Facebook and Twitter of a little segment where we actually seen Baron Saxton pass Roman Reigns. Was it a blade? Was it a blood capsule? We were under the impression at the very start, we were told by our reporters that it was a blade, but obviously that WWE stars don't blade each other anymore. We hear that it was just a blood capsule. Triple H beat down Roman Reigns really badly, pedigreed him on the steps, a lot of blood involved as well, which a lot of people are saying that, again, it's TV14, it's going back to TV14 because they're beating each other up and there's blood everywhere. No. Really? Seriously? No, it's not. It has been confirmed, though, over the last sort of day, last 24 hours or so, again, from Dave Meltzer, that WWE are going to be increasing edgy material on their TV leading up to WrestleMania this year. Now, is this a turn for the good, where the company's going to be doing more edgier things to try and improve the ratings for WrestleMania with talent being injured and stuff like that? Is this a way forward? We don't see it as a way forward. Other reporters don't see it as a way forward because they announced in 2008 that it's a family-friendly show and they're sticking with more PG television. But it is coming out now in the last 24 hours or so that they are going to be going with more edgier content leading into this year's WrestleMania. Speaking of Monday Night Raw, again, we're going to stay on the subject for just a few moments as well. They announced the next inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame being the one and only Godfather. The man, the leader of the Ho Train, will be getting into the Hall of Fame this year in Texas. It's going to be great to see. I hope he brings the Ho Train onto the actual stage as a speech. We all know him famously from his Godfather gimmick, obviously Kama Mustafa, the Supreme Fighting Machine Kama, whatever you want to call him, Papa Shango, some great characters he had throughout the years, and it's great to see that he is going into the Hall of Fame this year alongside the icon Sting. Other things, again, on Raw this week, Ryback, we were talking about that there, where he was involved in a 6-man tag team match with the Big Show and Kane against the Wyatt family at WWE Fastlane. Ryback walked out on his partners on Raw. He done a backstage interview afterwards for WWE.com saying that he is more of a singles wrestler, not a tag team wrestler. Is this a heel turn from Ryback? We don't know. Is this a way now for WWE to push Ryback forward as a bigger star, as he has changed his look and his gimmick, and he is going to be more aggressive in the ring? As you've seen recently, his work rate in the ring has improved, his cardio has improved. Is Ryback going to be getting a bigger push in the company as a more higher on the card singles wrestler? Only time will tell. I hope it does, but because he is a good talent when he wants to be. There is days we watch Ryback and you get bored, but there is some matches that he has had which has been pretty decent. As you know, he came into the company obviously as a big dominant star as the Ryback gimmick, but hopefully it gives him a bit of a push and he gets a good singles run, because obviously they need to try and create more bigger stars in the company with so many stars being off the road at the minute, being injured. A big happy birthday goes out today, or tomorrow, or Wednesday, or Thursday, whatever day you don't want to listen to this podcast, to the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, woo, who turns 67 years old. It's hard to believe he's catching up in Vince. He's pushing towards the 70 mark. The Nature Boy, 67 years of age. A big, big happy birthday to the one and only Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Let's talk a bit more about WrestleMania before we go on any further. There's more matches, obviously. I forgot to actually mention about Raw there as well, that the Dean Ambrose Brock Lesnar match has been announced as well for a no holds barred street fight. I do apologise about that. That was a good, interesting segment where Ambrose got his ass whipped, and then Brock Lesnar stood on his head and accepted a challenge from Dean for a match at WrestleMania. So I do apologise about that. WrestleMania itself, and we're talking about a lot about WrestleMania on this podcast this week, guys. There's talk about going around. There's going to be a triple threat match for the Divas title, which has been talked about for the last few weeks. I know it's been announced for a number one contendership match for Raw coming up this coming Monday, but there's been a twist in that where it's going to be Charlotte versus Sasha Banks versus Becky. Also, a lot of segments have been coming out, especially since the Edge and Christian Rated R, the talk show they had, Rated R, I was going to say there, the talk show from Fastlane, and there's been segments on YouTube as well over the last few days of the New Day taking the absolute piss out of the League of Nations. It's supposed to be a tag team match, League of Nations versus New Day. Also, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is going to be happening at WrestleMania. But there's also will be appearances this year from a few big stars. Obviously, we know that The Rock's coming to WrestleMania this year. There's talk of Steve Austin going to be there. He was in a recent interview over there, I think it was last Monday afternoon. He was on a podcast saying he will be there, but he hasn't been told what his role is for WrestleMania. Maybe a special guest referee, maybe in the Dean Ambrose-Brock Lesnar match. Shawn Michaels is going to be there this year, obviously him being from Texas. The Nature Boy Ric Flair, of course, because he'll be in Charlotte's corner at WrestleMania, defending her Divas title. And possibly Mick Foley being appearing at WrestleMania this year, so it's going to be good to see as well. There's also speculation that there could be a multi-tag team match as well, since there's been a lot of tag teams recently been formed on the company. I don't know why there's maybe obviously we're going to hear that there's going to be Intercontinental title match, US title match, with the tag team titles being on the line, is obviously the New Day being the champs. Are they going to defend their titles at WrestleMania? We don't know. But the WrestleMania card, stopping about talking about WrestleMania for a while, it is shaping up to be a great, great card. I know I'm talking a lot about WrestleMania, but there's a lot of speculation in the news this week as well going on. So obviously, can't complain about that. Obviously, with the WrestleMania season, everybody's excited, of course. There's apparently a possible change to the WWE pay-per-view schedule. There's talk apparently that maybe take away one of the events away, being Payback. This was talked about the last few days on forums and stuff like that we're part of here at Sit the Ropes. But apparently it's just been dates have been changed now for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view and obviously Payback as well. It's interesting to see. Payback, it'll take place on May 1st. Which obviously hasn't been announced just yet. Extreme Rules will take place on May 22nd, which is normally Extreme Rules is normally after WrestleMania. I don't know, but it looks like we're going to be getting maybe 2 pay-per-views in the 1 month. But WWE haven't confirmed this just yet. But again, we'll keep an eye on that story right away. Once we get it, of course, we'll get it to your Ropes. Now, we'll talk about Sonny over the last few weeks as well. But we'll talk about her in just a few moments. But the other big news coming out of WWE this week, and I know I haven't mentioned this just yet, and I do want to mention it now. I want to talk about the big signing coming out of WWE of the probably one of the biggest stars to come out of Japan. Well, the speculation's been going around for weeks about Shinju Nakamura's deal. He has officially signed for WWE. He had a press conference. It's been confirmed he has signed for the company. But obviously we heard more news about it today before we recorded the podcast, that apparently he's going to be getting a main roster salary while working as what they call a developmental talent. He is heading straight to NXT. He is going to be getting a bigger wage than most guys in the company, which a lot of guys are going to be extremely pissed about. But it's official. He has signed for the company. It's a big, big signing. I cannot wait to see him on the main roster. Another member, people from New Japan Pro Wrestling, all these speculations are still going around. Are we ever going to see the Bullet Club involving on WWE television? Maybe a Balor Club type thing. Guys, we could talk about this all night. The bottom line is, WWE have signed stars from the Bullet Club. AJ Styles, Big Doc's coming across. There are so many guys coming across. Balor's obviously teasing it. WWE have been advertising events for after WrestleMania, where it's announced as Raw versus WWE. Are we going to see Shane McMahon win the Hell in the Cell match? Maybe take over the Monday Night Raw. Triple H and Stephanie bringing up an NXT invasion. A lot of people said they would love to see an NXT invasion where maybe the Bullet Club could be appearing on WWE television. There's so many different speculations. There's so many different rumors going around at the moment. But the bottom line is Nakamura has signed for the company. It's a big signing. It's a great signing for the company. I'm looking forward to seeing him in NXT, along with the likes of Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Austin Aries is now there too. NXT's looking really, really, really good. So it's good to see. And again, we could talk about this all night. Goldberg news. Rumors are going around again this week, and we've been asked questions by you guys as well. Is Goldberg going to be appearing at WrestleMania this year? He's done some recent interviews before Christmas time, early New Year. Has Goldberg been contacted for WrestleMania this year? The answer to that question is no. Kurt Angle news. Kurt Angle has now taken independent bookings for independent shows. You know, he's finished with TNA. He's working with Bellator, doing a bit of commentary, but now he is taking independent bookings. He's doing some shows as well. Is he going to head to WWE? All know he's going into the International Sports Hall of Fame this, I think it's next week or the week after next. Arnold Schwarzenegger's inducting, Triple H is going to be there. Obviously, the internet's going to blow up over that as well. We're going to be tortured for that too. But Kurt Angle's taking independent bookings, which is good to see. Will we see him at WWE anytime soon? Maybe. We don't know. See how it goes. WWE have announced that there will be a Daniel Bryan Appreciation Night at Madison Square Garden on the 25th of March, just before WrestleMania. Also, it's been announced that Daniel Bryan will be on the UK tour coming up this April, just after WrestleMania, where he will be appearing on the televised edition of SmackDown from the UK. So it's great to see Daniel Bryan is going to be heading to the UK. So if you have tickets for that, well, you're going to get tickets for that, obviously. You're going to go and see the show. Daniel Bryan will be on SmackDown. Whether he'll be on Raw now, I don't know, but it's confirmed as SmackDown. CM Punk news. People have been speculating again. Is CM Punk going to give up his UFC? Will try and start a UFC career to go back to the WWE? The answer to that question is no. CM Punk is not planning a return to WWE anytime soon. He was asked about returning to WWE. His answer is no. Yes, his fight has been put back again, obviously due to a back surgery, which he's had successful back surgery. But to answer your question, is he returning to WWE anytime soon? The answer to that question is a definite no. Why? Because CM Punk has absolutely no interest in coming back to WWE television anytime soon. John Cena. We were talking about John Cena last week. Is John Cena going to be coming back to WWE again? He was at one of the NASCAR things on last week where he was there, and everybody said he looked in great form and he was coming back. People were asking him questions. He says you never know. But we heard today that John Cena could possibly be part of this year's WrestleMania. Will he be in the ring? Maybe. Maybe not. But obviously, the biggest star in the company being John Cena, will he miss the biggest show of the year? He has to be part of it in some way. Whether he turns up and shows up or something like that, I don't know. But there you go. Damien Sandow news. Damien Sandow is taking some time off from WWE due to a family passing. Obviously, we pass our condolences on to Damien Sandow at this present time. But obviously, Damien Sandow is carrying a few injuries as well, apparently, and he will be taking some time off television, which is disappointing because Damien Sandow, I thought, was a great entertaining character, especially when he was doing the whole Bizdow thing. But there you go. Sure, hopefully things will change. Also, some Roman Reigns news. Now, we'll talk about Roman Reigns getting beaten down by Triple H there and Raw and Blood and stuff like that. Obviously, WWE's doing a storyline now where Roman Reigns apparently had no surgery and he's going to be off TV for live events for a while. But he's not being advertised for live events this weekend as well as next weekend or throughout the week. But he is being advertised for Raw and SmackDown. Is this to be part of the storyline? But we hear Roman Reigns is feeling a bit fatigued at the moment, so WWE's giving him a bit of time off throughout the week and the weekends leading into WrestleMania season to try and keep him in good shape for the company. Obviously, they want him to see him getting injured again, but they're planning on the lines of, obviously, with him being this nose surgery that he supposedly had, and Roman Reigns is going to be off live events for a while. So if you're heading to any live events of WWE, don't expect to see Roman Reigns there anytime soon. Now, I did mention about talking about Sonny. We've been talking about Sonny over the last couple of weeks regarding her career change that she's doing now. But any of you guys out there watch the television program? I think it's on the History Channel, as far as I know. It's called Pawn Stars, which is a program that does with antiques and selling stuff and whatever that there. So there's talk, obviously, it was going around the last few days that Sonny. Her on a recent episode that Sonny was supposed to be selling her Hall of Fame ring on it. Now we all know Sonny's been in the news in the last few weeks and things have been going on, and Sonny's in a situation now where she's doing adult movies and stuff like that, but there's talk she was going to be on this new episode of Pawn Stars. Now, I'm sure you've all saw the speculation stories going around that Sonny was selling her Hall of Fame ring. Now, we have heard that Sonny has sold her Hall of Fame ring, but it's not going to be on that episode of Pawn Stars, as everybody's been talking about. And we've been getting a few tweets about it actually today. People saying, did you hear that Sonny sold? It's going to be on that new program, Pawn Stars, and not Porn Stars, Pawn Stars. But apparently, it's not actually going to be Sonny's ring for sale. It's actually the ring that belonged to Paul Bearer. That's right, Hall of Famer Paul Bearer, the Undertaker's former manager. But the thing is, though, Sonny went on Twitter earlier this week and denied that it was her ring, despite her name being advertised on the TV show. But it's actually Paul Bearer's ring. So if you're going to watch Pawn Stars this week thinking it's going to be Sonny, it's not. It's going to be Paul Bearer. The family's obviously selling the ring, this is the thing, guys. I'm going to be honest about this. If you're going into the WWE Hall of Fame, okay, and your career is celebrated in the biggest stage ever, on the biggest weekend with the biggest company in the world, whether you've worked for WWE or not, and they honour your career in front of millions of people, and they give you a solid gold ring. I know people say it's only a ring, but it's a thing to mark your career as you being a legend of the business. And for you to go ahead and sell that ring, yes, there's guys out there who go through bankruptcy and need the money and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, it's a kick in the balls to the WWE, because they're celebrating your career and you're basically slapping them in the face by selling the stuff that you get just to earn money. We could talk about that another time down the road, guys, but selling your Hall of Fame ring, I think it's quite insulting, but that's just me. What do I know? I'm just a podcast. I'm just a guy who hosts a podcast, and a guy who used to be in wrestling, but sure, what do I know? Anyway, it's night time for the segment, guys. We brought it back last week for the first time in over a year. It's back now again. It's night time for the segment that everybody's been talking about. You've given us suggestions on Twitter, #Jackass of the Week. It's night time for the segment that everybody loves. It's night time for the weekly segment, the Outside the Ropes Jackass of the Week segment. I've missed that guy this week. I've missed that buddy so much. Such a good friend of mine. Not really. After a little chat before today's show, we came to the conclusion that this week's Outside the Ropes Jackass of the Week for this week is, can I get a drum roll, please, Mr. Producer? Outside the Ropes Jackass of the Week for this week, for week 2, on this second week for return, is Stephanie McMahon. And I've been told to say the reason why she was Jackass of the Week this week is because of her performance on Raw, and because she was awarded an award that she didn't deserve. So our Jackass of the Week for this week is the one and only Stephanie McMahon, or Stephanie McMahon Helmsley, or Stephanie Levesque, or whatever the hell you want to call her. I just call her a pain in the ass. She's the Jackass of the Week for this week, guys, so there you go. I got some emails from you guys and some tweets and stuff like that I want to look at, but I want to go through the emails this week because I'm running low on time. We've got an email in here from Michael. Michael says, guys, WWE has really dropped this in it this week with the bad pay-per-view, but they redeemed themselves with a great Raw. Your thoughts on Raws for the next few weeks leading into the big WrestleMania after the return of the one and only, the legend that is, what are you calling that, Shane O'Mac. Your thoughts on upcoming, I'll give you my thoughts on it. It's great to see, as if they're going to be doing more edgier content over the next few weeks. I'll be tuning in every week as always, but I'll be looking forward to see it. To answer your question again, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to seeing it. So yeah, can't complain. We've got a very unhappy Dolph Ziggler fan this week. I've had a couple of emails from a young lady by the name of Denise. Denise is actually from the UK, and she's a very unhappy Dolph Ziggler fan, saying that we'll read through her email here briefly, saying she's extremely pissed off that Dolph Ziggler is not getting the push within the company, and Dolph Ziggler should be getting more of a push. Is he going to be getting a title shot against Kevin Owens again at WrestleMania? Answer your question, I don't think he is. It looks like it's going to be AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. I know Dolph Ziggler did say on an episode of the Renee Young show where he said his main goal is actually to have a singles match at WrestleMania. Whether he's going to be doing it this year or not, I don't know. It is disappointing. I agree with you. Dolph Ziggler's a great talent. He reminds me very much of a young Shawn Michaels. But is he going to be in that tag team match? I don't know. I would love to see him getting in a title match eventually, a singles title match at WrestleMania, because he's a great talent. But is it going to happen this year? I don't know. I know you're pissed off. I can read through more of your email here, but at the end of the day, WWE writers need a slap. Go and watch the Edge and Christian show. Yeah, go and watch the Edge and Christian show, and they'll show you what WWE writers are like. They take a piss out of the writers at the very start of the show. Check that show out, guys, by the way, on the WWE Network. It is awesome. We've got one in here from William from Scotland. William from Scotland wants to know our thoughts on the Dudley Boys heel turn. We talked about that last week. Dudley Boys heel turn, great to see. I hope they continue with it. I hope they get over more with the crowd. It's going to be good to see. Also, he wants to know what the hell happened with Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer's now way back to the independents. It was only a short-term deal with WWE. It's obviously Tommy Dreamer's a talent that I don't really think highly of, to be quite honest with you. I'm not a real big Tommy Dreamer fan. Some of his matches were good back in the day, but I'm not a huge Tommy Dreamer fan, to be quite honest with you. We've got another email in here from Alan and Stephen, both looking to see what we think of AJ Styles' current run. We talked about, again, guys, talked about this last week. AJ Styles' run's going really well. He had a great match with Jericho at the pay-per-view last Sunday. They're now a tag team, which they beat the crap out of Social Outcasts, which was entertaining as hell. They just need to beat up Bo Dallas, because Bo Dallas is actually getting more annoying. What is with Bo Dallas' attire? Seriously? Oh, what is he wearing? One knee pad, and he looks ridiculous. No comment. I'm going to head on down the road here, guys. That's the end of it. Sorry I couldn't read any more of your emails. I do apologise. I have been blabbering on for over 30 minutes now, so I do apologise. I've tried to squeeze in as much as I can tonight. I do apologise if I didn't get any more stories in. But again, thank you so much for your emails and all your contacts and stuff like that. Stay tuned. We have been promised within 48 hours our OutsideTheRopesRadio.com website will be up and going. Thank the Lord, it's back. We're going to be making a little bit of an announcement on next week's show, which is going to be good. It's good news. We had a production meeting today. We've got some news that we're talking about doing something new for the show. We've also been talking, guys, and we're going to be speaking to him again hopefully this week. We're hopefully going to try and get a writer, the head writer maybe I think it is, of a former magazine that used to be out here in the UK called Power Slam Magazine. We've been talking to him over the last few weeks by email and Twitter. We're going to get him on for an exclusive interview via Skype to get his views on the world of professional wrestling. I'm going to be getting in touch with him myself personally this week as well to get him onto the show. It's WrestleMania season, guys. I want to hear more from you about your favourite WrestleMania moments. Also, we're looking to try and get some fans onto the podcast to talk about WrestleMania in the next few weeks. So if you're interested in coming onto the show and be interviewed via Skype, give us a shout. We've had a few guests on throughout over the last year or so. We've had some of you fans coming on talking about different things. We're trying to get more people on now. Obviously, we've got more new people on board behind the scenes here at Outside the Ropes to try and get more things going on in the podcast itself. So if you want to come on to the show and say a few words, even if it's just for 5 minutes to talk about your favourite WrestleMania moment, or to talk about a certain thing in WWE, or talk about TNA or whatever. I don't really want to talk about TNA. Anyway, you can certainly do that. So I'm going to head on down the road here, guys. Big thank you for all your tweets and messages throughout Fastlane, throughout Monday Night Raw, NXT, whatever it is you're watching. Don't forget to check out SmackDown tonight, Thursday, whatever day it is. And also don't forget to check out NXT from this week. And check out the Edge and Christian show. It's awesome. Check it out. It's a great show. Guys, I want to hit the road. I've said this twice. I'm saying this the third time. I'm heading down the road here. Thank you so much for hitting the download button on iTunes. Big thank you for all your views on Facebook last week and YouTube. Big numbers. iTunes went through the roof last week, as always. Thank you so much for hitting the subscription button. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down below. Give us a comment. Don't hit the thumbs down. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. I see us back here, same time, same place, next Wednesday for another edition of Outside the Ropes. I'm your host, Mathew Moore, and I will see you all next week.